Hey, what's up, everybody? Have a day off of work, so I figured I'd do a little video about some stuff I've been thinking about now that I've focused more on being a coach than I am an athlete at the moment. And that's that it's really never too early to start being a champion. And that just basically means, there's a lot of steps involved with being a champion. It doesn't mean that no matter what level you're at, because there's a lot of levels to this game. Um, it doesn't mean you can't start acting like what you want to be. So to make it a little bit about myself, just to give you where I kind of got these thoughts from was I started arm wrestling. I was terrible. I was such a bad arm wrestler. I was so weak. I picked up the technical aspect of the sport pretty quick, but honestly, my natural talents were not rooted in this sport. That's for sure. But I just loved it. So I was very lucky to have a great group of guys to kind of pave a way for me, or at least be a good example. And what I noticed was that they always acted in their training and outside their training like champions. And that's really what made them so special. Guys like Tim Breslin and Ron Klemba, Seth Barnett, Maxwell, and even Corey Breslin. He started coming up a little later, but same thing. And although there are many, many levels to the sport, if your goal is to be a state champion, then what does it take to get there? And maybe you're 4 or 5 steps below that the ability to become an open class state champion. But it doesn't mean that you don't get a good head start on it. And it doesn't mean that you should limit yourself to your professionalism in every way. A good example is if I tell a kid to go clean their room and they've never done that before, they're not going to know what to do. They're going to have no idea how to go clean their room. Because cleaning your room, something as simple as go clean your room, that's 20 different steps. But because we're adults and we've done it before, cleaning your room is one thing, but it involves a lot of different steps. And it can be something as simple as, we all have cell phones. We all have notes. Taking notes at every date and what went well and what didn't go well. It can be something as simple as that. And then looking back, it can be something as simple as just doing what you said you were going to do, which is something that a lot of athletes are lacking. And a good example of that, and it's happened a lot of times over my career, where somebody has a weakness, a training partner of yours has a weakness, and they ask you, give me an assessment of what I need to work on. And you give them a good 3 or 4 different exercises or things to focus on to make them better and to make them a little stronger where they're weak. And they come back 2 or 3 months later and the improvement has been made, and they ask you again, can you assess what's weak in my game right now? And it's the same answer. And then they say, well, how do I fix that? That person wasted 3 months not improving when they had all the information and all of the pathways to do that. So sometimes it's something as simple as I'm going to make myself do what I said I was going to do. And a lot of times it's just a matter of we forget. Another big section of that is that we all like to go back to where we're strong, but that's a whole different thing. But there's never a time to not start acting like that. If your goal is to be a national champ, my goal is always to be a national champ, especially when I was brand new. I just want to be a national champion. And very early on, I started acting like that. I looked at other national champs. I saw what they did. I saw how they train. I started doing that. And then eventually you adapt and you have a good sense of who you are. And you start to kind of move past that. And by move past it, I mean really just start to become who you are in terms of what works for you specifically versus what works for everybody specifically. Because there's always going to be some things that you leave behind. There's some things that you add in. There's going to be some things, and this is where the real good stuff happens, is the stuff that you only do that nobody else does. And that's where you find, the real gems. But it's never too early. And champions, we all know what a champion is in terms of what happens in an event. The champion is the guy who wins. And that's cool. There's nothing that, that's definitely nothing to shake a stick at. That's pretty cool. But real champions act that way off the table too, in every sense. They help build up people around them. They take what they can without doing any damage to other people, and they do what they say they're going to do. So some food for thought. If you're somebody who has some big goals, please by all means have those big goals. But there's a lot of little goals that go along with that, and following that is what champions do. So just wanted to touch base with that. My mind's changed quite a bit in terms of from being that selfish athlete, which it is a selfish endeavor, to being a coach now where I'm looking at X amount of people and everybody's different, what they need to improve on, what their strengths are. And it's just, it's amazing what you see when you open your eyes a little bit more to other things. And it's just something that I noticed. So take that with you, do what you say you're going to do, and act a certain way. And believe it or not, you do the right things and you work hard, and good things will happen. So good luck to you, and see ya.